All right, we're rolling.
All right.
All right, here we go. Welcome to the Rat Hole for another episode of The Whole Conversation. Today's guest is Wojo from Sumptus, Ignis. And what's going on, Wojo?
What's going on, man?
Not a whole lot. I caught you last minute for this. Pretty excited about it, actually. I wanted to sit down and talk to you about some stuff for a while. I'm a not-so-secret Sumptus Ignis fanboy. So I kind of wanted to pick your brain and have a conversation one-on-one. We do a lot of talking, but it's amongst the family chat. So I want to get in here and see what's up.
Absolutely, man. Glad to have one of those out there.
Yeah. So, when you guys are working on another new full length right now, aren't you?
Honestly, we've been playing with the idea of throwing some singles out there for a little while. We picked a pretty bad day to release our full length unintentionally.
Yeah.
For those of you that don't know, it was on the election week, and that kind of overshadowed anything that you could ever post. So not the greatest.
Especially that election.
Yeah, no shit. That was crazy. But yeah, people didn't know about it until months later. I'm throwing out messages individually to every single friend that I have, and I got a little frustrated and threw some rants out there. And people are like, I had no idea you were even working on an album. Yeah,
I get that too. That's really, really frustrating. And it's like, man, how do you not see this? It's the only thing I post.
Yeah, but I mean, it also comes down to the fact that if that is the only thing that you post, chances are people who aren't really big fans of music or anything like that probably unfollow you because I'm tired of seeing this shit.
Yeah, either that or they're not interacting with the post enough for it to be a main thing in their stream.
Yeah, true enough.
That's why I tell people, I'm like, if you just want to stay up on me, even if you don't like the post, just like the stuff that we post and it'll keep it in your stream.
Yeah, it's funny how that works. It's interesting to hear how people find out how to sort of manipulate that algorithm. I don't really get it entirely, but a little more. Just throw out what I think is funny or good, and I get mixed reactions.
Yeah, I do a lot of entertaining on top of the musical stuff, just so I can keep people's attentions. And yeah, I think even more than that, it personalizes, not only me, but the shed rats I have here in the videos with me and things like that. It brings people into more behind the scenes of what's going on and what we're doing here.
Well, if you think about it, that's the stuff that most people do want to see, because if you order any sort of DVD about a production like a label or any sort of recording studio, you want to see what's happening besides the music. You want to see goofing off, or you want to see the setup, those sort of things.
I always used to really enjoy the studio DVDs or the tour DVDs and stuff.
Man.
I was always a big sucker for those. I would watch them over and over and over. And then it was really cool for me the first time we went and did something like that. Then we watched ours over and over and over, and we're like, man, we're just like those guys, we're out there doing it. And you're like a high school age kid, traveling and playing shows, and you got people going nuts for your set and stuff. And I think it's really cool to capture those moments. I think one of the most overlooked pieces of technology that we've ever invented is the camera.
Oh, yeah, man.
I mean, there's
Absolutely.
So many memories and things that you can capture and look back on, and not just think about, but actually look at, and almost put you right back in that spot.
Yeah, you could almost relive it.
Yeah.
And think about how many things didn't get caught on camera, and not necessarily just in your life.
Yeah.
All right, if you go on YouTube or you see these videos of, it doesn't even have to be music related, just insane shit that happens, and think of hundreds of years ago when cameras couldn't even be conceived. Holy shit, did you see that?
Yeah.
You'll never see it again.
Yeah. That's why, back then it was cave drawings, and then it just progressed.
Yeah, and then, of course, you only had to word of mouth to believe.
Yeah. And then in that grapevine, there's always somebody who either gets it wrong or is a jackass and embellishes it.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, that always makes stuff worse.
And inevitable, yes.
Yeah. So, I've always wondered what got you into playing that git fiddle.
Well, to be cliche, I could say that my dad had a couple acoustics laying around. They were right-handed, and I'm left-handed. And at the age that I tinkered with them, I didn't really know that there was a difference. And all that I did was slap on the strings and turn the tuning knobs and probably ruin his shit. But I always had an interest in playing, not necessarily acoustic though. And there was a time I picked up skateboarding when I was like 13, because that's another thing I wanted to do as a kid. And I started at 7. I would just ride down hills until I fucking ate pavement. And I was like, well, I don't have anyone else to do this with, so I stopped. And I picked that up when I was like 13. And then around 16, my friends that I skated with started playing guitar. And I was like, oh, man, sellouts. I'm losing my skating friends to music.
Yeah.
And they went off, and they're actually professional musicians now. Fast forward 5 more years later, I finally got my hands on a left-handed guitar. And then I was like, man, I should have jumped on that train. But I guess you do everything for a reason. But, like anyone who picks up guitar the first time, they usually want to quit because it's not easy. It hurts and it sounds like crap.
Yeah.
Toughed it out for about 2 months till I could sort of resemble a song that I like, which I initially got into punk. And because I had a little Fender Strat Squire, like most people.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah, you get that little crappy frontman with it. Yep. And I bought a little pedal.
Mine came with a distortion pedal.
Huh?
Mine came with a distortion pedal.
Oh, mine didn't. It had a gain knob that didn't do anything. Uh-huh. But I bought a little $10 Dan Electro overdrive pedal and then a metal distortion pedal, and I blew the speaker on a little crappy amp, then invested in something a little bigger. And it kind of went on from there. I would say about 2-3 years in, I started to try to delve into actual metal because that's what I wanted to play from the start. And I had to acquire the skills. I don't really understand how people can jump straight into Metallica or something like that. First song to ever try to cover something that's actually hard and sort of technical.
Yeah.
I started with just power chords. I didn't even learn open chords. I just went straight to power chords.
Yeah. See, when I started, man, I was one of those people that you were just talking about. Like, I just picked up a guitar and started writing, like, metalcore stuff. Like, I really liked the Poison album from Bullet for My Valentine and, like, As I Lay Dying, Shadows Our Security, and things like that. So I just picked up a guitar and started writing things. And then 6 months later, I had written almost a full album of things, like completely, like drums, guitar, vocals, everything. And I had never really done any of that stuff before except for vocals. And then
that's awesome.
I had all of it done. It was the recordings weren't the greatest quality because I didn't have much to work with, but I got them laid down and recorded, and it was all really tight in the way that I wanted it. And then my friends that I'd been playing music with that had all kind of went away come back. For some reason, we all ended up together again. I showed it to them, and it blew them all away. And they're like, whoa, when did this happen? How did that happen? And I was like, turns out I'm just good at this, so this is what we need to keep doing. And, metalcore's always been my bread and butter. I've always been a vocalist, primarily, but I love to play guitar, and I never get to because I can play drums. Oh, dude, that's the necessity. There's never drummers around. And did you start, when you started playing guitar, you already had the studio set up? You had all that going on? No. When I started playing, I had my own apartment. It was a living room and kitchenette in one room, and then a bedroom, bathroom in the other room. And it was concrete walls, and there was a hole in the wall where an old AC unit used to be. and they just put like a piece of plywood over it, and like ice would cover it in the winter, and like, so I lived there, and I recorded. I had my mic and all my other setup and stuff. I had a pretty good sized closet in my bedroom, so I just cleared it all out, and I treated my closet, and I set up everything in my closet and recorded that way. And I got my hands on a cracked version of Fruity Loops. I can't even remember what version, a really early version, and found some good drum VSTs, and then went from there.
That's essential. I think my initial beginnings of recording started with just a standard Windows sound recorder. I had like a little $10 desk mic. I would just set up and record riff ideas. And those never really amounted to much. I had a couple people to bounce them off of and try to build with. I'd say this is around year 3 of playing. And then by about, I want to say year 5 or 6. Well, okay, let's back up. Back to year 3, when I started writing and looking for people to collaborate with and to build with. I had a mutual friend of Bryn. I didn't know Bryn at all. I've heard his name around town. I heard he's this amazing drummer. He plays live. He's into metal. He's into all this stuff. I put out a post, hey, do you know anyone who'd be interested in trying to make a band or something? And my one buddy's like, oh, ask Bryn Sherman. He's a really good drummer. He's a friend of mine. I'm like, I don't know. He is just so high above me. And keep in mind, this is year 3. I had no technique. I was sloppy as shit. I just had a couple ideas, and I just wanted to try to step into, I didn't want to go to the big leagues yet. I just wanted to get started. So I shied away from that, and I did. And then fast forward 2 years later, I auditioned for Identity Collapse, which is Rob from Sanity Shattered, Bryn, who I now work with in Sumptus Ignis. Domo was a part of it. Silora's Domo was part of it. When I initially joined, there was another local big shot guitarist named Ricky Reel, and still to this day he astounds me. He's just an incredible guitar player. Figure out things at the drop of a hat, can play anything and sing anything at the same time. So I went from never being in a band and playing very limited with people who don't even play metal to audition with this fucking super thrashy, progressive, just all-star team in the local scene of metal. And I walked in, and the night I went to audition, for us Floridians, 40 degrees, and I got there about 30 minutes early. My hands got plenty of time to freeze over and slow down. So I go in there and completely the opposite of warmed up. And they start off with the song What Has Become. That was kind of their like go-to sound check warm-up song. I would put it at about 190 beats per minute, but once you get going, it ends at about 210. Complete with just face melting, sweeping, shredding nonsense, and I'm just like, holy shit, dude, I don't have a chance. So after they played that, passed me the plug, and they're like, well, show us what you do. I'm like, well, my hand's kind of numb, but I'll try. And whether they were just being polite or not, they heard it out. They liked it. Me and Domo had similar influences. Keep in mind, it's the first time I had met him, but he was very friendly and nice and reached out. I was like, dude, I'm a big fan of In Flames. I know that you are too. And at the end of the practice, he kind of stuck around a little, and we jammed and just threw some shit at each other. I left feeling mixed, thinking I don't have a chance, but also at the same time they were pretty nice to me. And then they gave me a shot, and that was really the time where it's like, dude, step it up.
Yeah. That's great, man. I think it's really interesting that you guys were all involved with each other, before. Like you always hear about bigger bands having those backstories, and you always wonder how it happens. Well, that's how it happens.
Yep.
Now we're all on the climb together, and people are going to be like, oh, man, like these guys got so much history together, and they didn't even know it.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. A lot like your area, it's a real small town, and 99% of musicians in that area play Jimmy Buffett, and they make a shit ton of money doing it. So very hard for a metal band to get anywhere down there. You don't have any venues, you don't have any following, any interest. Yeah. You just do it to record it and send that shit out to the rest of the world when you're in fucking paradise.
Yeah, we definitely experienced that here, which Lang from PTO slipped in.
Yeah, what's going on, man?
Not a whole lot. How you doing, brother?
Yeah,
doing all right, man. Just it's Friday, ready to kick back and get some shit done finally.
I feel you, but no, it's completely the same where we're at. It's like you're either playing country or like Guns N' Roses, or nobody's gonna listen to you.
Yeah, dude. They want to hear what they know.
Yeah, which
and something that doesn't frighten them.
Yeah, and so like even for us playing as Plum Tuckered Out, it's hard for us to get shows around here.
And that's
like
bluegrass.
Yeah. We play like folk bluegrassy style music, and it's hard for us to get anything around here because people still want covers, or they'd rather have what they call a DJ, which is just a fat guy that clicks a button on a computer.
They're not willing to put
that blows my
out
mind, dude. PTO does some really good shit. A few times I heard you guys play, it's just fucking spot on perfect.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah, we wish we had more time to work on it, but he's got 2 kids, I've got 3 kids. Our bassist just got bumped up to a management position at his job, and he's been working like anywhere from 8 to 16-hour days, from 5 to 8 days a week. Like he's been hoofing it. So I mean, it's been hard for us to get together. I can't even remember the last time we had a full practice.
It's been a while.
We're still kicking around ideas and kind of taking a little bit of time off, and maybe come back with some fresh legs to start running.
Yeah, I have no doubt that you'll always get something good out of your time, though.
And I heard you talking about it earlier. That's the same thing where like I love how all these different genres can come together, and multiple different musicians that come and root and stem from different genres can come together to one band or to one label and get along really well. Usually you see like country fans are like hard, they hate metal, or metal fans hate country. It's like, no, that's not how it is. We love music.
Yeah, that is the opposite ends of the spectrum for sure, and I'd say 90% of either side just don't like the other side whatsoever.
And that's the problem, is that nobody's willing to open their minds up anymore. I mean, you get I see it more so from the metal side, where people who are in like really hardcore metal bands will actually sit down and listen to Plum Tuckered Out, whereas somebody who will sit down and listen to Plum Tuckered Out will just walk out of the bar if the same people start playing metal. Like we both, it's like we're the same guys, we have the same heart for, it's just a different music. And
when we started Plum Tuckered Out, man, people thought it was another metal project because Kyle was a guitarist in Dal and I was the drummer and the front man in Dal and I
was a guitarist
and then he was a guitarist in another hardcore band in the same scene, and was at one point an alternate guitarist for Dal and I. So everybody thought that it was another metalcore project or something. And then
I can see that.
We come out playing this folk bluegrass stuff, and everybody's just like,
they kind of sat their asses down.
Yeah, like, what is this? Do I like this? I'm not sure. It's kind of catchy, I guess. This is a shock.
None of our usual scene was used to anything like that.
But they're still supportive as hell for us.
That's the thing, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we have.
Well, I think the difference is metal is usually geared towards musicians, whereas like country bluegrass is just geared towards listeners.
Yep.
Yeah.
Where musicians can appreciate what you're doing in a different genre because it's obviously still a skill and you can relate to it, whether it's something you play or not. I personally am terrible at acoustic, finger picking, any sort of that shit. I've been playing 10, 11 years. I have never had calluses on my fingers. I just don't feel it anymore, but I don't have those calluses, so any sort of resonation between a hard fingertip and a fretboard doesn't exist. So I stick to my electric.
That's the beauty of it, man.
Yeah, I'm the same
Yeah.
way. Like I'm an electric guitarist. I've been playing guitar for
getting him there.
a while, and I've just now started picking up chords and things like over the last year. And
Dude,
like, actually
one of the
playing.
greatest things about that is incorporating it into distortion. Because typically, if you just strum open chords in distortion, it's very muddy. But picking through them alternately, it can create a really cool sound. I do that a lot personally. Anyway.
Yeah.
It's the opposite for me. I have to like every open chord that I'm playing on electric guitar is just gonna sound like poop. Whereas you give me like an acoustic and I can make it sound like the same note, but like the prettiest thing in the world.
Yeah.
See, I started incorporating that stuff in a project that I have called Dad Gut, and it's more like He Is Legend, Kevlar Talk style. Like, I don't know, it's a weird rock and roll with some like southern hardcore pepper on it. And
I haven't heard your Dad Gut stuff.
yeah, and I incorporated the chords and the strumming and picking with them in that, and then I've still got the catchy rock and roll leads. I've got a hardcore breakdown. There's a solo in it. Like that's stuff that I've kind of had just on the back burner for a while and trying to perfect it. See if I maybe turn it into a band. But I thought here recently about just making a collaborative instrumental project.
That would be fun.
That would be a way
initially, we were going to do Sumptus Ignis as an instrumental project, but Bryn's talent with words had to be incorporated in some way, his stories and whatnot.
Well, have you guys thought about doing like an instrumental track or two then?
Oh no, they released the whole instrumental album.
Yeah,
We released
that's
all
right,
our
yeah.
albums as instrumentals
Yeah, that's
too,
right.
because it's just to kind of broaden the fan base.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people who are like, I love the music, but I don't like their vocals.
I would say 99% of the feedback I get is instrumental is great, vocals not so much. And whether it's just not their taste, harsh vocal. Most of my friends aren't into harsh vocals.
Right.
And coincidentally, I think that the harsh vocals that we have are the best vocals we have.
Right.
Yeah. I love
Jesse
his
does
lows, man.
Amazing stuff too, but Jesse and Bryn are ever improving with their vocals. I kind of, since I moved, I've been on the back burner. I don't really incorporate any vocals anymore.
Yeah.
So all I have is this rock band mic to fucking throw some vocals down on.
Fucking rock band, Mike.
From let's say 2009, maybe.
It's like the
something like
USB direct in.
So that might come from the good era.
that. Yeah, maybe. It's still 10 years old. Probably worth about $5. You go to GameStop, pick up a microphone.
Yeah, there you go. So, where do you get most of your inspiration for writing, man?
For writing, it really depends on the day. The roots go back to Swedish melodic metal, Finnish folk metal, symphonic things. And you can, a lot of the songs that we've released have been in production and writing for at least 5 years. December's End, remember I was talking about 3 years ago I started writing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, at my third year of guitar I started writing. I went on Google and typed in chord progression generator, and you'd be surprised. It's a pretty cool program. You pick a key, and it just shits out chords that you can use in that key. And they're like, okay, well, these are pretty cool. And it was something like C, D, C, D, B, G, or something like, I can't remember what it was. But I was like, I like how this goes. And that's how I started. I just strummed those chords to 3/4, and that's how that started. And I rewrote that song at least 7 times, and added on and added on and added on. And I would say at that point I was really into the In Flames stuff. Dark Tranquility is another real big one. They use a lot of that open chord stuff I'm talking about. Their instrumentals are just incredible. And a lot of that stems off of, two guitars harmonizing and going into some heavy shit and then backing out into super melodic, pretty stuff. And it builds that spectrum of harsh and beautiful. And I think that every song that I ever write has to have those elements in it. It has to have not only story, but it can't just be one feeling. It's got to be a range of emotions.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. You gotta
has to be.
Punch them in the face and then make them want to kiss their mama.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
That's what my dad always says.
I when I'm writing metal and stuff, that's how I describe it. I was like, I want to ease them into it, little instrumental foreplay, let them know something's coming, and then we're gonna hit it real hard and intense for a whole verse, but it's gonna be everywhere. Dun, 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 dun. Then we're gonna switch. Dun, 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 dun. Then we're gonna switch again. Dun, 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 and then the bottom's just gonna get pulled out from underneath them. Boom, 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 boom. And then we're going to go right back to something really epic for a chorus and then come right out real sporadic and just rinse and repeat, but none of those riffs will repeat. That's how I write.
Yeah. You get a good dynamic in that.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't like the cut and paste thing. It's an easy way to stack a song up to a long length, but it gets repetitive. But you do want your hook to come up quite a few times.
Don't bore us, get to the chorus.
What is it?
Don't bore us, get to the chorus.
There you go.
That's what my dad always said. He was also a singer.
Going back to what you said in your metalcore influences, I think that a good example was 6 by All That Remains.
Yeah.
It's funny because that intro is just like this beautiful acoustic, just some finger picking.
It's one of the first things I learned to play on guitar. that exact intro, yeah.
And then it just slams you, and then you're like, where did that come from? Oh wait, no. That one starts off heavy, and it has the interlude or the bridge.
I was gonna say
right before he busts in on the solo, because it's the bloom, down, down, the boom,
it's the bridge.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah,
you know it.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite albums, man. That album right there, and the Shadows Are Security album. The Poison from Bullet for My Valentine.
Oh, don't get me started.
Killswitch Engage, The End of Heartache, and
I would say that Killswitch Engage was what got me into metalcore. That was the one. All That Remains was a very close second.
It's funny that you say that because Bullet for My Valentine was definitely the one that got it for me. I'm a little bit younger than all you guys, I'm pretty sure, so it was just like a few year gap. But when they came out with The Poison, I was like, oh man. That's when I first picked up my electric guitar, was when they came out with The Poison. I was like, I gotta learn this.
Yeah, they're definitely influential. I never did get far into them. I think I was on my way out with the metalcore around the time that I found out about them. But that was when the genre was getting really big.
Right.
Yeah.
Killswitch, then All That Remains, and there's a couple other ones here and there. Obviously, the first Bullet song I heard was "Tears Don't Fall."
Yeah, I think that was.
That's The Poison, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a Poison.
That's on The Poison. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. My wife has that CD in her car. It was one of the first things I heard in her car when we met, and I was like, "Okay, that's pretty cool." But you got good taste.
Yeah. That's better than when I got into my old lady's car for the first time. She had a country station on.
She likes country too. I give her a hard time about it, but
old ladies. The same thing you said earlier about how you release everything instrumental. It's really awesome because my wife in particular absolutely loves, like, just an example, like Polyphia. Or anything.
Oh shit, they're awesome.
Like, she loves the metal instrumentals, but then as soon as you put those hardcore vocals on them, she's out. She's like, nope. She's like, other than that, it's beautiful.
Did you see that video I put in the family chat when I figured out that Polyphia song on accident?
I didn't see that.
I figured out Euphoria on accident.
Oh, that's awesome.
I was sitting around picking around on my guitar, and I always record myself when I'm doing that, just in case I do something that I want to look back on. I can't remember where I was. And I was sitting there, and I go, and I just stopped. And I looked at the camera, and I just went, and I was like, oh. And
he got real excited.
Yeah, and then I cut right there, and I learned it, and then I fucking went back, and I pressed record again, and I was playing it with the song. It's
That's awesome. I love when I stumble into things like that.
Yep.
And I'm sure you've seen it in the family chat. I do that. I try to do that every night. I put my kids to bed with this little piano.
Yeah.
I remember when you did
trying to figure out here.
Tyrannical mastication. You posted that one time. You're like,
I still need to video that to the song, and I want to do it all legit with like a proper camera, some editing, and all that good stuff. And I wish that they had like a music video that I could splice. Well, they have their playthrough.
Yeah,
I could splice that into it.
That would be just so cool.
Yeah, I put you in the corner in a new window for the playthrough. And I'll get my kid's electric drum kit out, and I'll play the drums. Because that's where I record all my decent sounding drums is recorded on a child's electric drum set.
That's awesome.
He's not lying.
Really?
Yeah.
They have Joey Sturgis drum packs though.
It's true.
Well, that's all you need. You just got to get that MIDI in there, man.
Yeah, that's why I told him, I was like, you are the dopest fifth grader ever.
There you go. That's awesome.
I was like, everybody else got regular snare drums. You got an electric snare drum with a Joey Sturgis pack. You got the We Came as Romans from To Plant a Seed album drums.
Dude,
that drummer. Well, I'm, for what would you call them? Pop punk. What genre would you call them?
Those, I think I would call them
like
pop punk hardcore, kind of like the Day to Remember thing, and they moved more into the like the metalcore, like crabcore stuff.
Yeah, To Plant a Seed was really good.
I can do that.
I literally remember them having a shirt that said crabcore on it. So that's what I'm going to call it.
Ricky used to call that poop squats.
Yeah.
But, yeah, dude. We Came as Romans. When I first found out about them, I was like, how could you ever remember all of this?
I loved the message that they were sending. Like, the lyrics.
Their lyrics are great.
Dude, some of the most beautiful lyrics that To Plant a Seed that I've heard in that was like 2008 or 2009, I think.
Around that time,
everything metalcore was like talking about, like, being a hard ass, and then they come in with like, love your brothers, love everyone around you, like we plant this seed that one day it grows into a beautiful tree and will like spark influence in everyone. And now here we are.
That was why I liked Killswitch so much.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All their songs are inspirational.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about a better world, and better outlook. But I would say my favorite We Came as Romans song would have to be what the hell is it called?
I know all of them, so.
The song about the devil and the angel on your shoulder. I think World is in the title.
I know what song you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about.
It's on.
That is an amazing song.
I think their lead vocalist recently passed away, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Yes,
I think a year or two ago.
And I go back I think I reread like all of the lyrics to To Plant a Seed, and the one specifically that hits me the hardest.
But you posted them.
Yeah, our vision for this world will not die when we are dead.
That was.
I'm like, oh man, dude. That's To Plant a Seed. I think that's the single. Yeah.
Was that it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh,
yeah.
Dude.
He sings that when it breaks down in like a little interlude.
Yeah.
He starts singing in the middle of it before they bust into another.
You could just feel the emotion.
Yeah.
Man.
And as much as I loved We Came as Romans and stuff, the one thing that ruined it for me one time, man, is Kyle Pavone's auto-tune pedal wasn't working, and he was freaking out. And then they were like, dude, just do it.
Just sing it.
And it wasn't good.
I heard that story from other people.
Yeah, it was not good. Like, I was standing right there listening to all of them freak out, and I was just like, oh, man, this is not going to be good. Because I had just had that happen with another band we were playing with, like 2 weekends before that, called Hello Euphoria, and they were they were like somewhere between Chiodos and We Came as Romans.
Oh, wow.
And so, like, he had the same problem, and he was freaking out. And I was like, dude, just do it. And he looks at me, he goes, no, you don't understand.
That's why we have it.
Yeah, he goes, you don't understand. And I was like, well, just don't sing so high, man. That's all you're using it for. Just sing where you're comfortable. And he's like, I can't project for shit when I do that, And like, I hope if you see this out there, I'm not down talking you, man. I loved your guys' stuff. I'm still listening to your stuff. I paid for your stuff, and I enjoyed sharing the stage with you. So now that that's out of the way,
there you go. Along those lines, in a little more of the poppy direction, I went to a Thrice and Bring Me the Horizon concert.
That's not too bad.
Yeah,
that's not too
Bring
bad.
Me the Horizon.
What era?
Yeah. What era?
Yeah.
When's the last time you heard Thrice?
Well,
when they were punk, probably,
Yeah.
right? About 10 years ago?
About 10 years ago.
Yeah, I was going to say probably about 10 years ago. But
Artists
I
in the
hear them
Ambulance
regularly because I
around
have things.
Yeah.
Dude, they're so different.
I haven't heard anything lately.
They came up on stage, I didn't even know it was them. They have, dare I say, a little progressive and gent.
Really?
They're a little heavier. I did enjoy it a lot. They outplayed Bring Me the Horizon, but Bring Me Horizon's show with the lights and the pyrotechnics and shit was amazing. It was an arena act, both of them.
Cool.
So, not a huge fan of Bring Me the Horizon's music.
Put on a good show,
It
though.
made me feel like I was the old man there, but good show. It was a good show.
I don't get it. Why are all your bills flat?
Yeah, going back to the hats, huh?
Yeah. He
Yeah.
complimented my hat. So it's a real hat.
Speaking of flat, there was this fucking guy running around the show with a I want to say it was a beer and then a bottle of water on his head. He was in the fucking pit with a bottle of water on his head that didn't come off. I don't know how he did it.
Wait, you mean like he wasn't wearing a hat? He just put a bottle of water on his head?
He was bald and he had a bottle of water on his head.
No fucking way.
Yes, and then he walked up the stairs of the arena and he walked past us because we were seated. And then I seen this guy in the parking garage and he still had it on his head.
That's a baller right there.
What a badass.
I think he double-sided taped it to his skull. It's the only way. How do you run around in a circle pit? And why is there a circle pit? Bring Me the Horizon and bottle of water on his head.
What if he dented the bottom and it got a good suction from the moisture?
I mean, it's possible he was bald. There'd be no hair to kind of to break that.
I mean, I'm just throwing out my my guess. My
He
dad's
probably got
bald,
a little
so.
bit sweaty, and the water probably got a little sweaty, and it just created that perfect suction.
Condensation.
Yeah, and then when he got home, he had like an extra sunburnt spot from where it was going through the water, and it was just a perfect circle.
Just magnified.
One thing though, that was pretty hysterical about, how singers and frontmen and you put on a show when you're on stage. There's a lot of electronic in that music, and there were periods where the bassist with his skin tight jeans and his white Converse shoes had nothing to do for like a good minute and a half, and he just kind of ran around and he didn't even like pretend to play. He just kind of held his guitar down horizontally and was just running around. It was like almost an aerobics class mixed in with the show. And then the singer did this headbanging thing where he would pivot at his hips to where his head would go between his knees, and then he would almost bring his ass between his knees. And it reminded me of like that, like a bird fountain doing that motion. But I didn't know that they were from England,
Yeah.
Yorkshire specifically, and that dude's got a thick accent.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't really understand him between the songs, but not trash talking, just observations. I thought they put on a great show, even if it's not my kind of music.
And that's the beauty of it, man, is that we,
Yeah.
as a musician, you can appreciate, the music in all types of different genres.
Dude, the technicalities of their lights and the way they incorporated it with their songs, honestly, was amazing.
Me and my
was-
dad sit down and watch like live. His favorites are like the live shows, the bands that were really big in the '70s and stuff like that, playing their live shows now that have just have like, you know, they're older now and they're more chill on stage, so they have to make up for it with the you know, all the electronics and lights and stuff like that. I think I watched what was it? I think it was Styx. I watched a live Styx concert last night with my dad, and it was the most insane, like, lighting, like, pyrotechnic stuff I've ever seen.
They don't want to do that too much. They'll give those old guys a heart attack.
Some of those guys still put on a really good fucking show at, like, 65 years old.
Oh, yeah. My parents went to the Van Halen reunion tour, I want to say, like 4 or 5 years ago. They crapped out of that tour. They couldn't stick it out, but my parents caught them while they were doing it, at least. And they did an arena in Fort Lauderdale, probably like 30,000 people.
Yeah, still selling out, like, 30 years later, and they're still selling out.
Unreal. Dude, one of those venues, think of how much money they made in merch and sales and, you know, geez.
Yeah.
Unreal. Like, dude, okay, well, if I just chat out another kid, they'd be covered for life. You know, that's just unbelievable what they you know, achieved.
Respect.
And rightly so. They earned that, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That would be sweet to be able to get to that stature.
Yeah.
But at the same
I couldn't
time,
imagine an arena act, dude. My biggest show was probably to 50 to 70 people.
Really?
Yeah, my smallest, no more than 20.
See, my smallest is smaller than that, but my biggest, I played for, with probably like 3,000 people.
Damn,
In
that's
between
awesome.
3 and 3,500.
Dude, one of those.
We regularly play for 100, 200.
Yeah.
Bucket list thing is to have that picture with your back to a fucking sea of people that are there to see you. You know what I mean?
For real.
Yeah. I've got a
That's
picture that's
bucket list.
if it's at the right angle, it looks like a sea of people.
You got to get to Wacken, dude. In Germany, that fest is
Dude.
unreal. Like that's bigger than any arena act. That's like almost 6 digits of people. They got cameras flying over the whole crowd and stuff.
Yeah.
They do it right over there.
Man, that'd be so dangerous too.
Oh, it would. But imagine having the story that you went to Wacken and you got smacked in the head with a camera.
Oh yeah.
You have traumatic brain injuries, but it was worth it.
I got life tickets now.
Yep. Going back next year.
Yep.
Worth it.
So, we were talking about appreciating genres, like all genres of music and stuff as a musician. Like, what do you do? Like, what all duties and things do you do to contribute with all the Shed Rat stuff?
Comedic relief, mostly. I would say that. But a lot like you, I think hyping up anything that's coming up, because I think we share that quality that we get excited about things, and generally things that you're interested in. And well, I'm interested in everything that comes out of Shed Rat, so I constantly put on that Shed Rat Randoms YouTube playlist, and I just go through and I check out all of Camel Tofu, Disappearance, our own stuff, the old updates, which I want to do more of. I actually just talked to Bryn about doing an update video recently.
Yeah.
Because, you know, when we hit the ground running with all this stuff, it was like 2 videos a month, one being a band update, one being a Shed Rat update, those sort of things that you want to do, but obviously you get caught up in other things, and releasing albums, or other people release albums, you want to push that more than, you know, hey, well, this is what we're up to.
Yeah.
But I'd say within the past, what is it? It's been like 6 months.
Yeah, about
right?
6 months.
I think we started in like August, something
Yeah,
like
late
that.
August.
Okay, so there's been 2 full album releases. I think, what did Rob Sanity Shadow release an EP and a couple singles, or did he release 2 EPs?
Yeah, EP and a couple singles.
EP and a couple singles. I think Sileros put out 3 or 4 singles. And, you know, Domo's just always cranking out something. We have one collab track. We got many more in the works. I guess if I was to be honest about what I contribute into Shed Rat, would be collab stuff.
Yeah.
I got a lot on the back burner, a lot of B-side stuff that I wrote that may have just not fit with what was Identity Collapse, what may not get used in Sumptus Ignis because I lack patience, gets turned into collab work, which I think would be an awesome addition. You know, we did the collab cover, but I think collab originals would be really good too.
Yeah.
And that, as Lang was saying, we have a wide variety of musicians, people that are much better at other at things than other people, which could add an amazing dynamic to music. So if one person writes out a foundation of a song and they send it 3 different ways, you know, what are you going to get?
Yeah.
I think that would be really cool. So if I was to put my name on anything, I would love to do stuff like that.
Yeah. And I think having things like that, and with the collaborative stuff, we did the collaborative cover, and then we have the collaborative originals, like I'm doing the vocals on Steel and Stone.
I can't wait.
And I've been working on it, man, but I want it to be perfect before I show you guys, because this is something that you've had, and, you know, you sent it to me and, you know, wanted me to put vocals on it. So I just want to make sure that I get it perfect. And I got like 5 tracks all at once. So I'm down to that track and another track that I can't mention who it's for or who it's with or anything like that, because
I have ideas.
It's remaining a surprise, but yeah. Yeah, and so I mean, I'm down to those, and after we wrap this up today, I'll probably actually start hitting some more of that stuff. But I think doing the shred off, which I've got a couple other people reviewing the track and seeing what they can do. So we got to do the shred off, the collaborative stuff like Steel and Stone. I've got a couple tracks that I'm going to be submitting for collaborative stuff as like bare bones based stuff and like ideas. That I've been doing I've just had them on the back burner forever, and I can't get any farther with them. And
you got a million of those.
Yeah,
that was Steel and Stone. I mean, I wrote that like 6 years ago. It hasn't changed much, and I'm just like, well, this doesn't really fit with either Identity Collapse or Sumptus Ignis, but I think it's okay. Mm-hmm. As far as the shred off goes, I kind of have a little bit of regret with writing that. I was like, okay, well, these 2 guys are very talented, and I kind of want to test how talented. So I made it hard. I made it difficult on purpose. I'm like, okay, we'll get like, you know, just some melodic stuff, and then we'll go to gent, and then we'll go to swing, and then we'll go to power metal, and then we'll go to thrash. And it's like, I was surprised what Josh did with it. He did really good.
It's amazing.
He hit nail on the head on every single one of them.
Yeah, he did.
I remember when Muffs came to me with that track, with the rhythm track, and he's like, "Hey, so we're getting all the you know, the lead guitarists and guitarists from Shed Rat. We're gonna do this shred off. Check this out. Do you think you'd be able to do anything? Because I can play some electric stuff when it gets to not be too ridiculous. And I think I got through like 45 seconds of it. I was like, count me out, man. I was like, just keep me on the acoustic. Like you send that to whoever you want, but like no.
To be fair, right at that 45-second mark is probably when the gent part hits. And I went back after writing it, and I'm like, okay, these are all pretty cool rhythms. And I'm like, I don't even know how I would play a lead over this. It like overshadows what you would do.
I'm sitting here trying to like think in my head. I'm like, okay, what would go over this? And I'm like, no.
it's like too strong of a beat to be tampered with a little too much.
It definitely would take some talent to put a lead on it, man. That's for sure.
Yeah, and well, Josh figured it out. I don't have like the technique that he does, in the sense that, you know, how you would like bend a certain harmony to match up, and all the little licks and runs that you can do. I just kind of stick to scales.
Same.
And I bend certain notes, but I'm not very technically proficient.
We
with
need to
that.
get KW on it as soon as possible because he's the same way as Josh.
He's the whole reason it started.
Yeah.
Like I was
our
just,
bassist for our folks band is probably like the most insane guitarist I've ever
yeah.
seen.
And in the
That
family
was
chat,
it. Yeah, it was
I was
supposed to
just
be
like,
Kyle versus Josh.
yeah, I was sitting there and I was watching everybody talk smack to everybody, and then it kind of died off, and I was like, I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes, but Kyle writes the best goddamn guitarist in this chat. Boom. And
You
then
threw him
everybody
under
was,
the bus.
The funniest part is
everybody was like,
KW.
oh!
He's the kind of guy to be like, why the fuck did you do that? like he's so modest in his skill and his talent, dude.
Yeah.
When I told him that, he literally just went, oh, what'd you get me into?
Because we're the two guys that'll like be like, no, you can do this. You got. Whereas he's the one with the talent, and he's like, I
don't know if he sounds like Chucky from the Rugrats half the time.
we have to push him.
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah,
He's got that modesty and
yeah,
not very boastful.
yeah.
Well, if he's
he
playing
knows he's
bass
a bad.
in PTO, I mean, I'm not doubting his skill by any means, but I feel like the mindset of a bassist is somebody who would rather not be the spotlight and just kind of make good shit happen, I guess.
Oh, he's the bread and butter of our stuff, dude. Our stuff was really good, but at first Plum Tuckered Out was just me and Muffs, and we came over here. We were writing a lot of stuff. We were really inspired, and then we're like, you know what, we really do need some low end, especially if I'm going to stay on the acoustic. And then we brought KW in, and for a couple months he was having trouble finding out what exactly he wanted to do original wise. Like he would follow the root notes of everything that I'm doing, but now he's got the 6-string, and it's kind of like he follows roots on parts like choruses that need to be followed, but most of the time on verses it's almost like the bass is a completely different entity. Like I'm playing straight up chords in a 4/4, whereas he's like almost leading off on the 6-string.
No kidding.
And it sounds
awesome.
really cool.
Yeah,
I think Disappearance's Andrew is kind of like that too. He picks his moments. He knows when to blend. He knows when to come out.
Right.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I starting as a guitarist and primarily only playing guitar, I have a hard time breaking that mindset.
Yeah. If there's one thing you could see come out of SRI this year, or that we could improve on, what do you think it would be?
Overall participation of quiet band members.
Agreed.
We all have a sort of one person per band that speaks for everyone else and participates for everyone else. But obviously there's a lot of talent in the people that don't speak.
We're just talking about
Yeah, they somebody has to talk for them, and they don't participate in the collaborative parts, whether it be the covers. If things remain the way they are, and I'm not saying that anything has to change because I think what's going on is great, but Andrew will end up the bassist for every band in every collaborative and every cover. Bryn will end up the drummer for every band and every cover, and Josh will do every solo for every cover and every collaborative. It will be that dynamic, and at that point they make up the Shed Rat band with a feature of maybe one person whose idea it was.
Yeah.
So I think it would be nice to twist people's arms just a little bit,
have them speak
and be
out.
like, hey, we got this song coming up, and I think it's something that you would like. You want to just throw down a track for it real quick? I know that you don't pay attention to the chat, but here you go. Something like that.
Going back to what you said about all the different people just being on every song, it would be like Rob, Bryn, and me doing all the vocals too.
Absolutely, it would.
So,
whereas Chuck and Robert from Disappearance are both freaking great singers.
And everyone in Crimson Shrine can do vocals.
Wow. Yeah, I forgot. Oh, sorry, Crimson Shrine, you guys are fucking awesome. But having them do anything would be amazing. Having them on any of the guitar, any of the drums, any of the bass, vocals, having them mixed in with this, any of the collaborative stuff would be excellent. And yeah, I think I kind of grew up with the mentality in music that everyone's better than me. So I think that anything anyone can do would be better than what I could do.
That's
and
way better than thinking I'm better than everyone else. So
yeah, it's more of the modest, humble thing. But in my upbringing with music, when I was at 1, 2, 3, 4 years, I was playing people that were 10 through 20 years of experience, and so I always looked up as opposed to being on top and nowhere to go.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm always amazed at what other people do. I always want to see what they would do in a certain situation, or writing in a certain way, or yeah.
I'll have to put some clean vocals on a metal track here soon. See how that
Dude,
goes.
yes. I'm actually, I was bouncing around with a few things, and I kind of was backing off a little bit with new material, because it's like, okay, if we're going to release singles and we feature 1, maybe 2, maybe 3 people per track, it's not really us anymore. But I love seeing where the song goes with more than 2 people writing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think for the music, it's best to have more than one mind doing it. I mean, it's nice to have a good, tight thing where it's like, this is my idea, here it is.
That's the way probably Plum Tuckered Out has written all of our songs, is one of us will come to the other one and say, hey, I've checked this out. And then the other one just kind of puts the icing on the cake.
Yeah.
Yep, here, do what you want with it.
Yeah.
And don't take no for an answer.
Actually, if we split our original set into thirds, I would say that I wrote a third of them by myself, he wrote a third of them by himself, and we did a third of them together.
Right.
But for the most part, I would like to get more collaborative with it, because I've never been fortunate enough to collab with more than one person.
Right.
Like, usually it's just me writing most of the stuff, and then I'll have like somebody that helps with the majority of maybe the guitar or maybe some lyrics or something every once in a while. But I'm used to doing most of the stuff by myself or with one other person, and I like the collaborative thing, because we stumble upon some stuff that we may not have ever learned before. It makes us better as all-around musicians to step outside of our little boxes and do things together.
Absolutely, yeah. Our songwriting dynamic usually is, I throw out a demo usually really quickly. I tend to do it in one shot, and if it sticks, then I build on it.
Yeah.
So I'll throw out this demo. If Britton takes a liking to it, I might revisit it once or twice, and then I send it to him. I'll usually delete the drums out, and then he'll do his part. He'll send it back to me. I'll tinker with it and change it and add more, send it back to him. And there's even been times where, at least mostly in the Ambition album that we did, he has that Megatar 12-string Chapman stick thing that we did like some band pictures with it, and then it was kind of like a little, hey, well, if I'm in pictures with this, I should probably play it more. So he took in Foolish Endeavor, he took parts that I wrote on guitar, just arpeggios of open chords, and he tapped them out, and it sounded awesome. And just little experimental things like that. Like you said, you stumble on things that are better, and I think that's why we invest multiple years into single songs, because I guess maybe you get used to hearing it a certain way, and then you tweak it, and then you may not like it because you're so used to hearing it a certain way.
Yeah.
But revisit it a couple times, and you're like, actually, that's better. It makes more sense that way.
Yeah.
On the flip side, it kind of makes it a little harder for you to actually hear it the way it's going to be heard by everyone else. So it's like murky, like when I released Ambition, or when we released Ambition, I didn't know how. When I send my music to people, I always give them a disclaimer. Like, you're probably not going to like this. Just to be honest, you're probably not going to like this, but it means a lot to me if you listen to it. And if you do like it, let me know.
Yeah, I think with a lot of the things that you guys do in your music, like letting it grow and stuff, that's part of the ambiance of Sumptus Ignis. I think that with the length of your songs and really setting on them and making them full compositions and stuff, that's what makes you guys.
Yeah, I think it's what sets us apart, because otherwise I could just chop demos in half and throw out 2-3 minute songs a lot quicker. I feel like it doesn't. There's nothing wrong with songs that are that short in certain aspects. If it's just a punch you in the face vibe song,
like Blacker Than Black
it shouldn't be any more than dude. It shouldn't be any longer than that, because, as you said in your first podcast, it's gonna wear you out. It wears you out in a minute.
Yeah.
But you're ready for more. You need that break in between them. But I like to approach with the story sort of like cinematic aspect, where I like to write that 3-minute song, and then I like to write another 3-minute song that can be attached to it, and then write another 3-minute song that links to the first 3-minute song to attach the end. So you get 9 minutes with this break in the middle that's like, is this even the same thing? And then it comes back with the original theme, and you're like, oh, wow.
Yep.
It is the same thing.
That's how I felt when the first time I listened to your guys' music at all. I felt like I was on like some sort of epic roller coaster of music.
I love how climactic like the crescendos and dude. The emotion when you can feel and now feel it building, dude. Mm-hmm. And I just love back to what we were talking about earlier. Like, what's a breakdown if the rest of the song has been a breakdown? You know, it's not gonna have any effect on you. And listening to that album, dude, I haven't listened to it with vocals yet. I've listened to a couple of the instrumental ones, and I absolutely love the way, like, the transition between each different riff, and the transition between the verses and the choruses, like in the melodic parts. It builds. It doesn't just smack you. And some songs it's okay to smack you in the face with, like, okay, here's a completely different melody and a completely different time signature. But I love the way everything transitions on those tracks, dude.
Really smooth.
It has to have continuity, for sure.
Yeah.
That is the tricky part, but it's the fun part, in my opinion. And one of the new ones that we're working on, Bryn, as you probably saw, he posted he was working on recording vocals, but the brigade of leaf blowers and landscapers prevented him from doing that. He got drums for it, but he's editing that currently to figure out what he wants to do. It's a song about mummification, I believe, and the placeholder title is called Eternal Lotus. This song, I was trying to keep the guitar back. It's very rhythmic.
Yeah.
And mostly lead with MIDI, like synths and stuff, and he has all of his new synth stuff that he really likes. I have no idea where the vocals are going to fit in.
The song's about
he always comes up with a
mummification?
way.
That's so cool.
But he comes up with some cool topics.
Yeah, he does.
It goes from, like, I want to say it's like 160, 170 BPM, bumps up to like 190. It builds up, gets fast, gets melodic, drops to like 45 BPM.
Gotta love it.
And then it's like, what happened? But it has continuity. It fits just right, in my opinion. I don't think it's an exact half time. I think it's a little more than half time. So it throws you off just a little bit.
Even a little slower.
Yes. And I like to do that because I don't want just this straight same time signature.
You don't want it to
beat.
feel expected. You don't want,
Yeah.
especially if it's the first time someone listening to a track, you don't want them to expect what's coming next.
Yeah.
Yeah, in that sort of music, no. But if you're doing shit like deathcore, you want to build that up, and you
That's
know
yeah.
you're gonna get punched in the face, and you know it's gonna hurt. You know, I love that stuff too. I just can't write it for the life of me. I
It's
enjoy
a lot of
it.
energy.
I'm a big fan, but dude, when I try to write heavy like that, even with an 8-string, it's just not. It ends up being kind of either faster or not heavy enough.
For some reason, that's the one thing that we can do. It's just it's like we're like, all right, we'll write a breakdown, but then you guys do everything else.
Speaking of Blacker Than the Blackest Black.
Exactly.
Oh my! I know I brought it up once already, but the Raycore thing, that took me by surprise. I had no idea that was you.
Yeah.
When I heard, I'm like, what is this?
Which one
this
did
is
he hear?
great. I love
I
this.
wrote a new one for it.
Oh, did you? Cool.
Yeah, I did a new one for it because I kept talking to Domo about it, and he's like, "Fuck it, Muffs, you want to take this one on?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, I'll do that." Like I've got some stuff I
Dude,
just
when
been
that's
kicking
bread and
around.
butter right
Yeah,
there.
like that's the stuff I kick out over my morning coffee.
When I put that on, I honestly was just trying to figure out who did it. I was like, this isn't Silura.
Yeah,
This
everybody's
is the
always
Disappearance. This is the Sanity Shattered. I'm like, who did this?
yeah, and everybody's
It was
everybody's always giving me shit about not knowing what to do when I pick up a guitar. But damn it, guys, I can
Dude.
make a full song by myself. What can you do? Play a guitar?
Just do that. Just do that. Okay?
Yeah.
Been doing
Do
it for
plum
a
tuckered out stuff and do that. But don't limit yourself. Do everything. But I'm just telling you what I loved that, and I love the plum tuckered out stuff too, because it's completely different side. And I'm basing most of this off of the one live stream you guys did. And
We're
I
gonna get
watched a couple of your live videos.
We're gonna get actual
That's-
tracks out soon. Our first album is gonna come out really, really soon. Especially now around tax time when I'm gonna have all the equipment that I need over at my place. We've got a good idea of how we're gonna lay everything down, and that's the beauty of Plum Tuckered Out, is it's not too complicated. There's literally just gonna be 3 different instruments, and the rest of it, there's gonna be more vocal mixing than literally than anything else.
We're a very vocal band.
I would say you're vocal fronted for sure, but just the harmonizing and all that.
Yeah.
But it's also
You guys nail it live, so I can't wait to hear how it is in the
Thank
studio.
you, man.
It was also like, I don't know, you probably feel the same way, that I feel like that album, there's 9 songs on it together, it should be like the baby.
Mm-hmm.
Like I
There you go.
want to make sure that everything that's coming out after that, the couple originals that we're working on right now, all have a different feeling to them. They really do, and you can
Good.
tell the point in time and period of inspiration from that one album. So we're taking our time with it and making sure that we get it released really nice so that everybody knows what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. If you're doing a full length release, you gotta for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, you like all that stuff, man. You haven't even heard the Twerk Squad or NFG stuff. We've got R&B
Wait,
and
wasn't
hip-hop.
that your rap thing?
I've been coming over here since I was 14 years old and getting beer shoved down my throat and told to like, hey, I heard you can rap. And I'm like, not really. I was like, get in the booth.
I literally locked him in the booth for like 3 hours one night, and I kept opening up the door, and we'd listen back to what he did, and I'd be like, nope, you could do better. And I would slam the door shut, and he would try it again. And then
That's
like,
the studio management you need.
Yeah.
You might not want it, but that's what you need.
and it got to the point to where I would just open the door, and before he would even press record or press play to let me listen back to it, I was just like, no, better. And I would just throw another beer at him, and then shut the door.
Dude, I honestly can't tell you like how much that helped me though, because now stepping in, like I could step into a studio like I have with my dad, that's like with complete strangers, to make a song or record something and just not be nervous at all, because back in like 2009 and 2010 I had
Beers flying at you.
beers flying at me, like a beard yelling at me in my face constantly. What's the
He
thing
broke you.
he used to like not even, it was just do it, like just do it for a while, and then
Nike, just do it.
and then he'd stop. He wouldn't even say just do it anymore. He'd just look at me and go,
Yeah, I just make the chant. I just go,
That's amazing.
just do it, Nike, just do it. We were extremely intoxicated most of the time, and we had a lot of fun. But looking back on it, we could have been so much more productive musically. But you always hear about these artists like they were so much better before they stopped doing drugs. So
it's always, it'll be nice to go back in 10 or 15 years and be like, what the fuck is all of this? There's probably like 400 to 500 hours of just like that kind of stuff.
Blacker Than the Blackest Black has like 50 some songs. NFG has more than that. And then like all Twerk Squad, the same. Like there's so many projects that people don't even know about on there. And we're actually, me and my brother Ricky, he's the other member of Blacker Than the Blackest Black. He is going to start a podcast with me that we're going to sit down here, and it's going to be called Rats Reminiscing. And we're going to go back through all of my old hard drives, and we're just going to select like a handful of songs and just play them and listen back to them and talk about what was going on when we were writing them and like when we were recording them. And it's going to be some really good, like, fun content, I think.
Oh, man.
Yeah, definitely need to do that.
The stories some of those tracks could tell, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you keep them forever for sure. You need to.
Yeah.
I stumbled on some old stuff on my laptop, and most of it's cringeworthy, but
it's nostalgic at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah. You see where you came from, and
exactly.
You're like, man, definitely grown from there.
Yep.
And some of it's like, wow, I came up with that then?
Oh, shit. We're redoing the Sissies stuff, too. My pop punk band.
Yep.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, the Sissies. Yeah. It's,
S4L.
Yeah, S4L. Sissies for Life EP. But yeah, I'm gonna be redoing some of that stuff too and getting that out there. It was really hard for us to get stuff done because I was the drummer, the guitarist, and the singer.
Wow.
And then I had two guys that couldn't play instruments that were part of the group with me. And they were in the pictures and part of the band. But I was the guy behind all of the music.
You're making the magic, huh?
Yeah. This is where the magic happens.
Yes.
Oh, hell.
Oh, shit. How long have we been on this bad boy?
I think over an hour.
Over an hour?
Yes.
Well, you feeling good about this? You feel like we need to wrap it up?
I am feeling good about it. Yeah, we can do that.
All right, man. Is there anything you want to touch on before we take off?
Just keep on doing what you're doing. We'll keep making this amazing shit. We'll make.
You keep on doing what you're doing.
What we did in past 5 months will be nothing compared to the next 12.
Yes.
Personally, we got. I want to say Red Dawn Redemption is Red Dawn. Retribution. Red Dead Redemption is a video game.
That is.
It used to just be Dawn Rising.
Right.
And then
I knew that. I knew that's what you were saying. Yeah.
and then Red Dawn Retribution, which is the same initials. That I think is complete. He's probably still tweaking the mix a little bit. He added in some stuff recently. That I'm really looking forward to getting out there. The Eternal Lotus song, very much in alpha still. Can't wait to get that worked on. Steel and Stone. I was revisiting some other stuff I really want to get out there for collab work. Yeah, that's what I want to do, and I think that if we can get our heads together on that, we'll definitely put some stuff out that's noteworthy.
Fuck yeah.
Hell yeah, man.
But overall, I guess a way to end this is glad to be here. Glad to be part of a family that shares a goal.
Yeah, dude, I really appreciate it. And thank you for believing in it and jumping aboard. I'm hoping that I can help out way more than I have so far and really push your stuff out there. I think you guys are probably one of the most underrated bands on Shed Rat Industries, man. I jam your stuff all the time, cranked up to 11 with my windows down when it's 10 degrees outside, just so people are hearing it when I'm driving through town. So, I mean, and they get annoyed by it so much.
You can do.
Yeah, I mean, if they get annoyed by it so much that they finally ask me who it is.
Yeah, that's a tactic for it. So, yeah, man.
Yeah, so, I mean, whether they like it or not, they're going to know. And I'm going to tell them. But
There
yeah,
is something
man.
to be said about notoriety, especially with what I was bitching about earlier today.
Yeah. Yeah, I really appreciate everything, man. And thanks for stopping by today. Hopefully we can get you on another time. Maybe you and Bryn.
Yeah, this was fun. I think if we schedule, although I was the one to say, hey, let's do this shit in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
We could definitely get something together again. That'd be fun.
All right, man.
All right, brother.
Well,
All right, it was good talking with you guys.
yeah, you too, man.
All right,
Well, everybody
take care.
check out Sumptus Ignis on Facebook, Spotify, Bandcamp, YouTube. Check out all the Shed Rat Industries family stuff that we've got, Facebook, all the other places like that. And enjoy this video from Another Now.